Hi, and thanks for staying tuned to Community Hotline. My name is Monica Weitzel, and we're here at MetroEast Community Media. Tonight we're going to talk with the Trauma Intervention Program. And TIP is a group that I had on, or actually June, the executive director, was on my show as one of my very first guests when I started hosting this program, and I'm very delighted to have you back again, June.
Thanks for having me.
I'm happy to have you. You've been with the program quite a while now.
Yeah, 20 years, September 1st.
Oh my goodness, that is a long time. So, for those who don't know what TIP is all about, why don't you tell us what the mission is and what you do at the Trauma Intervention Program?
Right. We are a group of specially trained citizen volunteers that respond to citizens in crisis. So we are called out on scene at the request of police, fire, medical examiner, and we show up and provide immediate emotional and practical support to people when something bad happens. So most of the time that means somebody has died. Okay. So to kind of put a story to that, and like right now today, we heard on the radio about the poor construction worker who died last night when he was run over by a drunk driver. So working with that company who just lost an employee, and then working with his parents who are now trying to plan a funeral, and working with the girlfriend, and working with, his 6-year-old son and the mom. So there's a lot of people, as it spreads out, just needing support. So we teach people how to walk into a perfect stranger's life on probably the worst day of their life and know what to say, more often knowing what not to say.
I'm sure that's the case.
And how to be there for somebody, how to believe that just the power of a human being coming alongside another on the worst day of their life, how meaningful and powerful that is.
Okay, so you said normally you're contacted by first responders,
right.
The firemen or the policemen or whatever. Right. What happened in this case with this? You said you heard it on the radio or the news?
I was on the news this morning, which is why I say that everybody's probably heard about it. In this case, we got called by the company directly because unfortunately we had been there last year when they had another fatality.
Oh, really?
So the president of the corporation that the gentleman worked for called and said, "We need your help again."
Wow. So obviously you did something right the last time. They wanted you back there again. And so really you help all those different facets of it. That's quite a lot. That's a lot to take on. So how many volunteers do you have, June?
Just right now we have just about 200 volunteers. And we are responding about 150 times a month.
Wow. What area does this cover?
We cover all of Multnomah County, all of Clackamas County, just into Washington County, and all of Clark County. So we go all the way up the gorge to Cascade Locks. We have a group up on the mountain, and then we have a group in Clark County.
Now, what is required if somebody were interested in volunteering to be part of TIP? What's involved?
Well, we do a background check, we fingerprint, they have to show proof of insurance and their driving record. Okay. And then there's a 58-hour training academy that we put every volunteer through.
That's reassuring.
Yeah. Well, we're taking citizens and putting them in somebody else's life at a very vulnerable time.
Probably their most vulnerable
We're doing
time.
really sensitive work. So we have to make sure that they're trained well and that they're okay people to put in a stranger's home.
That's good. You provided me with a video of some of the kind of an overview of TIP, and we selected just a portion of it that I'd like to show if we could.
Sure.
It's kind of a personal story of what TIP can do for people. So I think we should just take a look at that now.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
With our dealer and not bathing and just going out making money and buying the drugs and then just getting high, and we weren't worried about anything else. We weren't concerned about anything else.
In 1994, after struggling to overcome an addiction to heroin, Heather Davis committed suicide. Her sister, Sarah Martell, found her. A TIP volunteer arrived soon after the paramedics.
For me, the reality of the situation was different than what it really was. I insisted that my sister had been murdered when in actuality it had been a suicide. The other thing that the TIP volunteer had to deal with was me insisting that my mom was going to kill me when she got there. So for half an hour, this poor gal had to deal with just my emotion of not only losing my sister, but that we're going to have trouble when my mom gets there, which did not happen, thankfully.
I so appreciated I don't know if it's of her experience, her wisdom. She knew to not offer all these platitudes and condolences like, you know, God works in mysterious ways, and someday this will all make sense to you, and just all the things people think they need to say to make you feel better. She didn't say any of that. She just was quiet and let us go through what we needed to go through, and was just such a calming influence.
Everybody wanted something from me. I believe I was interviewed 3 different times by different people trying to get my story, and the tip volunteer was the one person that didn't ask anything of me. She was just there to help me. Just her being there for me and for only me made all the difference in the world.
The biggest case to me are the teen suicides. And not only were the adult tip volunteers helpful, but the teen tip volunteers were extremely helpful, not only at the scene, but also dealing with kids at school you know, the week following or so.
One of my most memorable calls was a teen whose mother had died, and he was not much older than me, and we were perfect strangers, and he totally opened up and was sharing all these like personal moments that he had had with his mother, and I just felt so privileged to have a perfect stranger share all of this like meaningful memories with me. And it was pretty intense, I guess, and I felt really privileged.
I just think we're really grateful to have, you know, she was my angel coming in, trying to, you know, keep me together enough to get through that day, and I just can't say enough for this program.
Pretty powerful stuff there.
Yes.
Yeah. No, it's just what you said, June, about the mother there talking about not saying too much.
Right.
Because people do that. People especially get nervous
Right.
when they're around somebody who's in crisis or has survived a tragedy, and they want to say the right thing, so they say too much.
Right, exactly.
But really, listening to that, I mean, it really points it out so well that really sometimes just not saying anything or just saying I'm sorry.
Right.
is
You can't
enough.
talk people through grief.
No, they just have to do it at their own pace.
Right.
And listening to the teenager, I mean, I was very impressed with her. I didn't realize until I saw that you actually had a program with teens involved too.
Right.
So how old do people have to be to participate in
Well, Jamie, who you saw on the tape, was 14 when she came in, and that was probably our youngest volunteer, and we have 14-year-olds right now. Interesting kind of side note about Jamie is she is still with us, and she's 22.
Wow.
So she really hates when I show this tape with her braces and her hair and
Because she
stuff.
probably looks a whole lot different now.
Right, right. But we have a great teen program. They never go out alone. They're always with adults, but they're very active when we have a death of a student or a teacher in a school. So when you hear on the news, we brought grief counselors in to deal with this, that's usually the tip volunteers. Because I always say, as cool as I think I am, I walk into a school and they see a mom.
Yeah,
but if
that's
I
exactly
take a
right.
teenager and give them the same skills and they walk in, they speak the same language.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. And tell me what this is like for the volunteers themselves. How does that impact them? Because it's obviously has to make a huge impact doing that kind of work.
Right. I think if you ask any volunteer, what they'll say is they get so much more than they feel they give.
Which is really true of most volunteer work.
Yep.
But this one is probably, that would be
It is a
lot.
hands-on experience, so you really know that when you walk away, you've made a difference because that person wasn't left alone. You couldn't fix what happened because we can't stop bad things, but you can make a difference in how they replay that event later on. So instead of remembering all the horrible things that were said to them or people that didn't reach out, they remember somebody was there that cared. And that's what we say. Overwhelmingly, I get letters in my office about the volunteers, thank you for being there. They don't say thank you for doing my dishes or thank you for mowing the lawn. They say thank you for being there.
Wow.
So, and that's what we sell, is one human being coming alongside another on the worst day of their life. So our slogan is citizens helping citizens.
Yeah, see, that's wonderful. It's such a necessary thing, but it's something that, I don't think most people even think about, that, neighbors, maybe they're around to help out, other family members maybe, but sometimes those people are too close to the situation.
They're just as affected sometimes,
yeah.
being that part of your family.
Right.
When you're grieving, they're grieving. So it's usually that next level of people that are the support people.
Oh boy. So you told me a little bit about the training. So once they go through the training, then do volunteers have to commit to a certain amount of time there, or what's expected?
Once they go through the training, we put them in a field training program where they have a mentor, so they are going out with somebody else. We don't just shove them out of the nest.
That's probably a good thing.
That's right. And then the commitment that we ask them for are 3 12-hour shifts a month, and they get to pick those. Our shifts are from 7 in the morning till 7 at night, or 7 at night till 7 in the morning. And they don't have to go somewhere and sit. They simply have to be ready to go. They have to be dressed appropriately, have their cell phone on, and if we call them and say, here's where you're going, they need to be ready to walk out the door.
Okay.
So, and they pick they're usually a month ahead of time. So right now, people are submitting their September dates, because they already know when they're on for August.
What's your biggest need for volunteers? And watching this, I'm thinking people of color. It would probably be good to have more people of color, just because just in watching the video, I don't see much of that. I'm thinking that's probably a need, and people that maybe speak other languages.
Right.
Other
Absolutely.
ethnic backgrounds.
Ethnic backgrounds, because it's interesting. In the 20 years I've been involved, people really don't care that you can speak the language anymore. They want to know you understand the culture. So we need bicultural volunteers more than even bilingual volunteers. They're a huge need.
So explain what you mean by bicultural. Just meaning I understand my culture and I understand.
Right.
So.
And what happens at the time of a death in different ethnic backgrounds, to be able to understand. We have a huge Russian community growing, a Hispanic community. When somebody dies, how do they get that body back home to Mexico? So being able to understand the needs and the extreme urgency for people, instead of just trying to speak the language. So helping them think of what happens next.
Wow.
So, but there's always a need for volunteers. The bigger we get, it allows us to respond in our own area. So for East County, to be able to respond in the Gresham, Troutdale area instead of being called to North Portland, and then keeping people maybe in the North Portland area, and we're not calling them out to respond up the gorge.
Well, and I suppose in doing that, you're going to have people that maybe have a better understanding of the cultures in that area.
Yes.
Plus, they don't have to go so far, so they can respond more quickly. What, obviously, besides volunteers, you can always use it. How are you funded at TIP?
We're funded with contracts with our city agencies. And so it's public-private. So we have contracts with those city agencies, and then we do 3 fundraisers a year. We have a poker party at St. Henry's Church against police and fire. We have a antique car show. That's Father's Day weekend. And then our big auction dinner is in November 1st this year. And it's not just another auction. I know everybody promotes those, but our auction has unique baskets because they're things you can't get at the store, like a firefighter, 6 firefighters that will donate 6 hours of time, or one station
doing
anything you want.
Turning up your house and putting out the fire.
One of our Gresham stations did all of somebody's spring cleaning in their yard.
Really?
They brought mulch. They did everything. We had another station that offered lunch with them, and then they washed and detailed your car once a month. Another station said, come have dinner with us. We'll put you on the fire truck, take you to the Rose Garden for a Blazer game. We'll pick you up afterwards, bring you back for ice cream.
You're right. Those are good. Those are good. I like those. Now, before we run out of time, June, tell me about the TIP National Training Academy.
Our next academy, we train twice a year for new volunteers, and the next one is starting in September. All the dates are on our website, and we're physically holding it at Warner Pacific College.
Oh, okay.
Warner has done a minor degree program, so we've partnered with them for people taking our training and getting into trauma.
Oh, good. So, do people get any kind of credit for that?
They can for this.
If they,
yes.
Yeah, if they're interested in pursuing that as a
Absolutely.
career. Good. Okay. So, if people want more information on the Training Academy in September, go to your website.
Right.
Great. Okay. Anything else you want to add before we go? You're doing a fabulous job.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm really impressed. I'm still impressed.
One of these days, maybe we'll get you.
Yeah,
so.
well, hopefully not at a crisis, or
No.
but as a volunteer,
volunteer.
yes, I would love to do that. Thanks so much for watching this edition of Community Hotline. And one thing I want to be sure to say is June today brought her niece with her from Arizona State University. Emily, happy 22nd birthday. So thanks for watching. Thanks, Emily, for coming out and joining us today. And for all of you who are interested in more information about TIP, be sure to go to their website. I'm Monica Weitzel. This is Community Hotline.